Miss Cathy Areu. She is a proud member of Cubanos con Biden, a national grassroots effort launched by Cubans against Trump. And Cathy's also the founder and editor of Catalina, a magazine that elevates and appreciates our Latina sisters. Welcome in, Cathy.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Thanks for joining us. So let's talk about the 1.4 million Cuban American voters. Yeah. So unlike other Hispanic voters in the US, the majority of Cuban Americans identify as Republicans. And they've historically really just shown out for the Republican Party. So why has the Cuban American vote been so committed to the Republican base?
People are they're stumped. It's amazing because I've had to do Q&As recently on social media about this one. It's actually because of 1961, the Bay of Pigs. Kennedy was the president for this fiasco, the Bay of Pigs. It was a failed attempt to take over the Castro regime. So at that moment, the Cubans in this country decided that they were going to be Republicans. They were very angry at Kennedy for that big flop. And they are loyal to the Republican Party, but they are not loyal to Trump. They're not MAGA, they're Republicans. Huge difference. So when people are saying that these are gonna be Republican voters, no, they're Republicans, but they're not Trump voters. Big difference.
Absolutely.
This is a Bay of Pigs. Yeah.
Thank you so much for explaining that, Cathy, because that makes a lot of sense. As in the Democrats did them wrong those years ago. So hey, let's do Republican now. That totally makes sense. And talking about doing others wrong, since Trump has taken the office, he's really sanctioned Cuba, restricting trade, travel. Also, he's reversed so much of the Obama administration's diplomacy efforts and economic ties with Cuba, not to mention his anti-immigration stance. So how are Cubans in Florida really feeling about Trump's leadership? As you've kind of already hinted, they're not here for it.
Well, it's amazing because for the first time, I've covered 3 administrations, over the years. And what's amazing is this is the first time I've always been the lone Cuban Democrat because my parents were loyal to Kennedy because he brought them in. But then the rest were very upset about the Bay of Pigs, which Trump said he got the Bay of Pig award. There is no Bay of Pig award, by the way. But he tweeted that out and he hasn't taken that tweet down. Wow. So good for him, he got this award that doesn't exist. And if it did exist, it's an insult. So I have no idea why no one's told the president this, but maybe they don't like him much either in the White House. But so for some reason, the Cubanos in Miami are fed up with people thinking that the younger generations are Republicans that are just MAGA, that they're just being labeled MAGA. They are so upset. They do care about climate change. They do care about women's rights. They do care about gay rights. These are things that are a younger generation's concern. The Bay of Pigs doesn't really matter that much. So there was already a shift when Hillary Clinton was running. And now with Trump, the Cubanos have decided they're gonna go full grassroots social media. And they are coming out, and the group was started by 20-something-year-olds saying Cubanos con Biden. And there's Team Pastelito, Team Cafecito. So they've made it really fun for all of us to kind of join. Even celebrities are joining because you could join with like a hint of fun, but say, I am not voting for Trump. And I'm not ashamed to say it anymore. We're not scared to say that we are not Republicans, but we're actually not Trumpers. They're not Trumpers.
I can appreciate that. Definitely, this isn't sports. No need to stick with one team, but let's do what's right. And we know back in 2016, I think it was about 54% of Cubans in Florida voted for Trump. And I know he's going to try to leverage that, particularly in the swing state that Florida is, because it's so valuable. But we also did see how in 2012, it was about 49% of Cuban Americans voting in Florida for Obama, which was really strong. So what is it about Biden's campaign that is really resonating with the Cubans in Florida?
Well, the Cubans really are one of the mottos that they put up that really meant a lot to us was that Biden understands Cuba. So he was there with the Obama administration. They understood Cuba. And now when you have a president that's on TV, he gave an address, and one of his addresses said, I'm a president who's done the most for Cubans than any other president. And it was a throwaway comment. And as a Cuban, my plight, my history, my culture, my city, my land, mi tierra, is a throwaway comment. You've done more for me than any other president. No, you haven't. Biden's done more for us than you have and you ever will. And right there, I knew he doesn't know who we are. He probably thinks we're Puerto Rico. He just doesn't know what island he's talking about at the moment, I think. It was a disregard for our history and our culture. And I think a lot of people caught on to that. It was he just threw away that comment.
Yeah, and I definitely think that you are right on that in terms of his disregard of anyone, unfortunately, who's not white male American. And kind of you have a lot of experience, so I'd love to tap into that. You were at Fox News as the liberal Sherpa for a long time, and that's quite a feat because Fox News rhetoric, and that means you were constantly going up against a lot of propaganda, unfortunately, but this gives you a keener eye. So with presidential elections, we know they're always pretty pivotal, always pretty contentious. But in your eyes, as someone who's experienced, who's seen a lot, and who's gone against the beast, what makes this upcoming presidential election even more critical in your thoughts?
Yeah, I was definitely the hand in the Fox house since 2008. So I started with Fox with the Hannity Show, 2008, and O'Reilly, and all the primetime shows, the big hitters. So I debated Ann Coulter, I've debated Charlie Kirk. So I've gone, toe to toe. And this is the most divided country that I have ever seen. And even at Fox News, at the end of the day, there's so many journalists that before they go on air, they have to check their phones to see if the president tweeted. And we all learned really, really fast that we cannot go on air without checking our phones. So Democrat, Republican, whoever you are, you have to see if that man, I'm trying to hold my word back, but that tweeter in chief, that reality president, if he tweeted something so ridiculous that we have to drop an important issue like Iran, the Middle East, China, something important to talk about The Apprentice or SNL or something so silly that he decided should be news. And he divided a country. He divided and he exhausted journalists, and we really became divided and confused. I think this is the most confusing time for Americans in this country because they don't believe the media, and the media is working harder than ever. I mean, I really have never seen all of us work this hard to decipher what's happening, and then to try to tell the public what's going on. So it's been hard for the media, even at Fox. It's been hard for everyone behind the scenes. And there's liberals behind the scenes over there. That's a little secret, and they're tired too, with keeping up with these tweets.
Well, you beat me to it, Cathy, because I was going to ask you for a little inside information from someone who's worked on the other side. But it seems that you've given that to us. But since we only have a few minutes left, I really want to tap into some important work that you're doing, kind of away from the mic. I know in addition to being an on-air commentator that you flex your journalistic muscles as the founder of Catalina. And congrats on your 19th year of publishing. This is a very important magazine focusing on uplifting Latinx women. And also for this 2020 edition, you have both of our friends, Lisa Guerrero on the cover in a Vote tee, which is super cool. She's the Inside Edition journalist and an actress and a Miss Everything, if you don't know, for all of those out there. But let me ask you, Cathy, what does it mean to you to uplift Latinx women?
Oh my gosh, well, I started Catalina 19 years ago when I was a freelancer for People in Español, and out of 30 reporters in Washington, D.C., I was the only Spanish-speaking reporter for a Spanish publication. I was the only reporter covering D.C. who could actually read my articles that came out. Meaning they were edited so many times, but by the time they came out, they were so inaccurate, and all my colleagues had no idea, but I did. I sold my car, started a magazine, and I put out the truth. We're not all peasants who had to sell soda to support our families of 10. We are not all these sexy other women. We are everyone. We are your neighbor. We are taxpayers. We are educated. We are good people. And it was really hard to get that message across. We're not a family of 20 living in a little apartment, as so many publications were saying, and saying that they were Hispanic publications. So Lisa Guerrero with her vote T-shirt is representing, and I'm really proud because she's on Inside Edition as a Latina, and we don't have to say anymore, "Hi, we're Latina." We don't have to wear the little pin anymore. We're everywhere, and that makes me happy that over the 19 years I've seen that we've gone from stereotypes to your neighbor, your commentator, and being able to be on like a show like yours. It's really exciting to be able to be places that we usually weren't invited to be.
Well, it is exciting, and it definitely makes me happy to see your face and to hear your incredible voice, Cathy. And can you let viewers know where they can find you?
Well, they could find me if they want to yell at me on Twitter at Areu Cathy. Things get heated, and I usually do respond. I do like a good debate. I do like good facts. Catalina Mag and Liberal Sherpa podcast. We have Chrissy Fit is a Cubana for Biden, and the Cubanos for Biden are coming on the show, and they're all representing. No one's hiding anymore, and she's the actress from Pitch Perfect. So I totally fangirled her, but we did talk politics.
Awesome, thanks so much for joining us, Cathy. We look forward to it, and take care.
Thank you.
On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.